So I'm going to give you guys a tale of two Trump tweets and talk about a big problem that I think is largely ignored. So this is something that got a lot of press. It was endless. It was everywhere. Trump said, Time magazine called to say that I was probably going to be named Person of the Year. Like last year, but I would have to agree to an interview and a major photo shoot. I said probably is no good and took a pass. Thanks anyway. So I couldn't escape stories about that tweet. Every mainstream outlet was talking about it. People who I ran into, who I know would bring it up. Oh, did you see that Trump tweet? Because, listen, I get it. I mean, I think more and more nowadays about that extension that makes Trump's tweets come out as crayon, like a toddler wrote them. And, if you read probably half of his tweets in crayon, you go, oh my goodness, we're really dealing with a child here. So I get it. I understand talking about this. We have a president that has the emotional intelligence of a kindergartner or preschooler. That's important. But when I tell you that this was like the main focus of entire news cycles, I mean it. I'm sure all you guys noticed it as well. And of course, Time magazine came out and said, that's not even correct. Nobody comments on it until, whatever date, and that date hasn't come yet. So it appears like Trump just either totally lied, which I wouldn't put it past him, or, it's one of those situations where somebody he knows, somebody in his administration whispered some fucking rumor or something, and Trump's like, oh, tremendous, believe me, this is exactly what happened. Now I will tweet about it. So, and it's also just a petty human being who, he's such a fucking status chaser and a star fucker. I mean, you'd think that once he won the office of President of the United States, that he kind of relax a little bit and not care as much about, how popular culture views him. But he can't help it. Like, the thing is, he wants to be a big timer in the establishment. He ran as an outsider and I'm going to smash the establishment and, they've been screwing you all along and the forgotten man will never be forgotten again. And in many respects, he ran as a populist, but ever since he got elected, he's the opposite. He appoints Goldman Sachs into his administration and he's got neocons stacked in the deep state and making foreign policy decisions. And there's the same thing here. So he rants against fake news media. But really what he wants is their fucking fawning adoration. And when he doesn't get it, he's like, oh, God, da-buh. And so this is why he tweets shit like this. Like, Time magazine says, I was probably going to be Person of the Year. They love me so much. The media loves me. But I say, look, I'm above you. Okay? And I'm not interested in you because you're fake news media. And what, a photo shoot? Wrong. I'm not going to do a photo shoot. So that's what's going on there. But now, again, endless coverage of that. Let me show you a tweet that came out. I'm not sure if it was the same day or if it was, whatever. It's within the same 2-day time frame, roughly. So the one that was him being a jackass got all the coverage. I didn't see a single story in the mainstream media about this tweet from Trump. He said the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, or CFPB, has been a total disaster, as run by the previous administration's pick. Financial institutions have been devastated and unable to properly serve the public. We will bring it back to life. Okay. Now, that deserves coverage, and that deserves fact-checking and debunking. Because again, one of my main criticisms of mainstream media is that they're utterly unserious and they don't focus on policy and how it directly affects your life. They don't do it. I mean, you would think job number one of these people is, okay, I'm in the media, I'm in a position where I need to hold powerful people accountable. Bring transparency, fact check them, show the American people how the things that they're pushing for will affect you. How's it going to affect your wallet? How's it going to affect the country? How's it going to affect the world? But they're not serious. They don't do that. They kind of treat it almost like sports coverage, and they'll talk about what Democrats have said or what Republicans have said and what the hot moment is of the week, but they don't really dig underneath the surface and get to stuff like policy. But this is a perfect example. Like, okay, he's tweeting about fucking not being Time Person of the Year. Oh, they want me to be whatever. But when he's saying something that is factually wrong about a very important consumer protection agency, that's when we need you. That's when we need you. Because the people who are Trump sycophants might look at that and go, well, of course Trump is right. I like how I give Trump's followers the same accent as him. Unbelievable. But perhaps if you expose them to the information on this, they'll go, oh, yeah, I guess he's wrong about that. Now, look, there's some people who are never going to leave Trump. We've spoken about them before. There's like a solid 25% chunk that's just ride or die Trump cult style. But there's a large swath that's with him that you can turn away from him if you're serious and you do your fucking job and you present something in a rational, logical way. So since the mainstream media is not doing that, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Trump saying, hey, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is a mess, sad, terrible, bad for the people. The exact opposite is true. That is nothing but Wall Street propaganda. That's Wall Street big bank propaganda. They want the government off their ass so that they can go ahead and continue to fuck you over if you're a regular person, okay? So Wells Fargo employees were caught recently making 1.5 million false savings and checkings account. You remember this scandal? They also opened up more than 500,000 credit cards without customer approval. And this is fraud, and it was uncovered by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Okay? For-profit college group Bridgepoint Education, Inc. was forced to give back $24 million because, again, they made false promises. They said, hey, if you come here, this is exactly what's going to happen. This is your job placement rate, so you got to come here. People went there, but they lied. It was fraud. The job placement rate was hideous out of there. So again, $24 million returned. It was student loan debt, and it was returned. U.S. Bank was forced to refund $48 million for fraud. I mean, think about that. Imagine being somebody who was defrauded, and then the government says, oh, by the way, we caught the fact that you were defrauded. Here's a check for your money. And of course, overall, listen to this. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau has given $11.4 billion in relief to over 25 million people. So I've told my own story about the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I had gotten a card stolen years ago. And so the next morning I woke up and I had to, okay, I got to cancel this thing. So you call up to cancel. Now, look, I was drinking the night before. I was hungover. I just wanted to get the fucking thing over with. And the person on the other end says, well, listen, if you're worried about something like this happening again, and it happens from time to time, everybody loses a card every now and then. Well, how about, you get identity theft protection, and this will make it so you can rest easy if you lose it. Don't worry, nobody's going to be able to take your identity or really use your card, and it's what you need, basically. And I was, okay, how much? They said something like $5 a month, something along those lines. I said, okay, that sounds fine. Anyway, so they send a new card out to you. They add on the identity theft protection. And what happens is, like, every month or every 2 months, you get an email. They give you an update on what's going on. Every single time the email comes through, hey, good news, you're clean, no identity theft issues, yada, yada. Well, fast forward a little bit, and I get a check in the mail. The check in the mail is from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Turns out they investigated the company that was charging me, the credit card company that had been charging me, the identity theft protection. And they go, there was literally no apparatus there that was identity theft protection. In other words, they would just shake you down, pretend like they're selling you something that's helping you. They're lying about it, and it's not helping you. They're not doing anything. They literally just sent out emails. There was no actual process, no procedure, no work being done. So we found out about it. It was fraud. Here's your money back. They gave back all the money that I had ever paid in the identity theft protection. That's what the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is about. Listen, I've gone after Dodd-Frank. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was created under Dodd-Frank. But whenever I go after Dodd-Frank, it's not because the government did too much. It's because the government did too little. It's because we need to go even further when it comes to regulating Wall Street and these financial institutions. But in terms of Dodd-Frank, probably the single best part of it was the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. For those of you who don't know the story, it was Elizabeth Warren who was pushing behind the scene to get it. She had to, basically force Obama to do it. And at every step of the way, she ran into corporate Democrats trying to stop her from creating it and block her from creating it. And she was persistent, and she was able to get it done. So that was the single best part of Dodd-Frank, and without a doubt, it has the best track record in looking out for consumers who were fucked over by big financial institutions that don't give a fuck about you. And what's Donald Trump doing? Well, Donald Trump, we know, is trying to have somebody lead that bureau who is against it existing. Oldest trick in the book. This is what he does with the EPA. Hey, pick a guy who sued the EPA over a dozen times to lead the EPA. Shocker, he doesn't give a fuck about pollution. He doesn't give a fuck about regulations that prevent climate change. And he's just there to do the bidding of the industry. That's exactly what's going on here. When it comes to Wall Street, when it comes to the big banks, let me just get somebody who's going to do the bidding of the industry. And he's ranting and railing against the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is 100% against what he pretended to be on the campaign trail. Remember when crooked Hillary, always listening to Wall Street and listening to Goldman Sachs, Ted Cruz doing fundraisers, a puppet to Goldman Sachs. That's exactly what Trump is. He was a liar, okay? When he acted like the forgotten man will never be forgotten again. Total bullshit. His actions prove it. So now you know. That's the tweet, because it's directly policy related. The Time magazine thing, sure, you could bring it up to show how the president's a toddler, but that's not policy related. He's just talking about a fucking magazine. This is policy related. He basically is sending out a tweet saying, I cannot wait to fuck over consumers. And what does the media do? They red balloon. They can't help themselves but go down the rabbit hole of the tweet about Time magazine, as opposed to doing their job and fact-checking a policy-related tweet where Trump is effectively saying, I'm going to get rid of this consumer watchdog, which has been overwhelmingly successful. That, ladies and gentlemen, is why our media sucks.